What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Welcome to another episode right here on youtube.com/thegamelers. Today is the 56th episode of the LootCast. We hope that you guys are having an amazing day and have had a awesome week. And if you haven't, well, hopefully tonight we're able to lift you up just a little bit. But some of the news stories we're going to be talking about tonight might kind of bring you down. So let's just meet in the middle and let's call it good. Okay, so tonight, guys, on the episode, we're going to be talking about the potential price hike of games. Are games going to be costing you more money in next gen? And this is something that's a huge topic. We're going to be talking about it. I'm going to be telling you guys a little bit about what I think of The Last of Us 2. I have now played about 14-ish hours of the game, and I'm now able to actually formulate a really good opinion about it. Or maybe it's really bad. You guys are going to find out a little bit later. And we're also going to be talking about PlayStation and some of the cool initiatives that they're doing and a few more things. So we hope that you guys enjoy tonight's episode. And to round out everything, I have a couple of guests with me tonight. Well, I'm going to have one guest, and then obviously Cynthia's here as well.
Sup?
She's so good at this. She's great.
Yep.
And then we have Mr. Jake in the Bacon himself. How you doing, Jake, on the other end?
Hello. How are you?
Doing fantastic.
Hope everyone's doing very well this fine July evening.
Right? It is July.
It's good to be back, man. I've missed the last couple episodes. I feel like a real piece of crap. But never mind. I'm here now, and that's all that really matters.
You fell asleep.
Yes.
I
He was
did.
a tired boy.
I'm a sleepy bear. I drifted off to dreamland and had some terrible nightmares. Woke up in a cold sweat to find myself late for the LootCast.
This happens.
Naturally, I gave myself some lashings and finished off watching the episode, and then screamed into a pillow until I fell back asleep. You know, usual Thursday night.
The huge. So I guess, on your couple of weeks hiatus, have you been able to play any video games?
Not really. I've been out seeing the world, so to speak. The quarantine is lightened up somewhat.
Okay.
Some would say prematurely. But alas, I have been out surveying the land. Driving hours in every single direction, just getting some nice humid air. Other than that, I'm trying to finish God of War.
The newest one? The newest one, or?
Yeah. I have 3 save files.
Oh my
one
God.
from May 2018, one from March 2019, and one from like a couple weeks ago.
Finish it. You gotta finish it already.
Oh my God.
I feel like I'm pretty close. I mean, I don't want any. I don't want to, spoilers. It's a 2-year-old game. Let's just say I just went to hell and came back.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you have maybe a couple hours left. Nothing too crazy.
Really?
Nothing you can't knock out in an afternoon. Not bad.
I feel like I've played a lot. The
Yeah,
one thing I dislike about God of War, the one thing that keeps God of War from being, obviously it didn't pull me in super intensely because it's taken me 2 years to beat the freaking game.
Yeah.
But I feel as if they unnecessarily make missions longer to draw out the game, when I would kind of there's not so much. I would rather it be somewhat linear main story missions and then a lot of fleshed out side quests and everything like that. But what they do is you spend half an hour trying to get to this other part like this. They tell you, oh, we got to go over there. And then you get real fucking close to it. Then they're like, oh, shit. We got to go back. This way's not working. We got to go around. It's like, why?
I would have loved
Voice
to
act-
have this conversation with you about 24 months ago when I actually remembered what the game was really about. But right now, I'm absorbing it all. But I'm pretty sure when I finished it, I was like, wow, that was one of the best games I've ever played. And you're making it sound like trashola.
I mean, I'm not saying it's trash. It's no Spider-Man.
Fantastic.
I'll tell you that. It's no Spider-Man.
Real quick, I want to
Miles
shout out
Morales?
to
What?
want to shout out to chat here. What's up, Master Gamer? What color did you dye your hair?
Purple.
Also, Peach Fam. Yep, Peach Fam is right here. I know you want to call it Peach Pack, but until then, you guys can simply hit the join button if you guys haven't joined the greatest fam on YouTube and join the Peach Fam because memberships are now live. So come and be a member, get your emotes, get your cool stuff, and some perks. It's going to be great. What's up, Jake Miller? What's up, Tinies? And what's up, Kyle? How you doing? Mini fridge versus the Wi-Fi router. Yes. I mean, basically. Okay, so then, Jake, I didn't get to ask you earlier on, but Min Min launched. It's been, what, about a week now? Maybe a little bit under a week? Something like that? So...
Well, it's been Monday. She launched on Monday.
It feels like it's been forever. You know, we've known that she's coming for a while. And you're our resident Smash expert. What are your thoughts on our Slingy girl?
Was it the noodle lady?
The noodle lady, yep. Little ramen
Noodle
girl.
lady. I haven't played with her too much. She's not the worst DLC character in terms of being fun to play. She's not broken. She's just kind of like a campy. Some of the stuff she does is a little suspect. Like her edge guarding is kind of ridiculous. Because she can throw out the dragon fist, and then it has a beam that shoots out from it,
Hey,
and you can curve
Andy,
it kind of
$5
down
dono.
underneath the stage.
Candy.
The hello lady. Hello.
How incredibly misogynistic. Fantastic. But yeah, I mean, she's whatever.
Jake
She's
just
just
joined
like,
the
eh.
Peach Fam. I know you're trying to talk, Jake. I'm so sorry. Welcome to the Peach Squad, Mr. Jake Miller. We are not worthy, my friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right, so she's the interesting edge guarder, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, her edge guarding is interesting. Her recovery is pretty generic. She has some cool things about her, like the fact that you can smash attack. She's the only character in the game that you can smash attack in the air. And then you can also switch up your arms mid combos and stuff like that to kind of make things a little bit more technical. I think as the meta goes on and as people start playing her more and more, I think that she's going to get more technical. I think she's probably high mid tier.
That's actually pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Do you think they'll nerf her?
Actually, in this last
Update?
update 8.0, so Nintendo did something that I am fully behind. Instead of nerfing characters that are good, they instead buffed characters that were less than desirable. So they buffed characters that needed to be better instead of making good characters worse, which I think is really important.
Okay.
It makes it more even out without completely destroying people's mains.
Yeah, I saw they buffed my girl Corin, and I was really excited about that. Not that I'm gonna go back and play or anything, but I was like, yeah.
They made Corin they actually made Corin a lot better. Up air
good.
kills at a fairly I tried out Corin. I was killing with up air at a 130 on 120, 130, which is pretty decent. And then back air kind of kills if you hit him with the startup of the move. But the few characters that I think really got good buffs is Captain Falcon and Falco, and
oh yeah, I did hear that. Yeah.
who? Gosh, who was it? Somebody
Whatever,
else
whatever
got
happened with the dragon one? What was her name?
dragon.
Dragon.
Corn.
The purple dragon looking one. It was like from
The water dragon.
No. It was like from the first DLC.
Oh no, you're talking about the Metroid Prime. You're talking about
The purple flying one.
It's not. I don't know if it's a dragon.
It looks like a dragon.
The Metroid character.
Oh,
Jake.
are you talking about Ridley?
Yeah, Ridley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ridley got buffed too.
Nice. Okay.
I
really like
lot
that
of
one.
buffs. We Fit Trainer got buffed. Ike. So I play Ike a little bit. They made Ike. They completely like switch up the way he plays. So, normally how you play Ike is you nair confirm. So you short op nair, pop him up in the air, and you can either hit him with another nair or hit him with an up air, and that's basically how you rack up damage. But now they made it so that the nair is less effective, but up B can kill at 70 or 80% on the edge of the stage.
Oh my god.
So, and they also made his dash attack stronger. So they kind of switched up the way he plays and made him less one-dimensional, which is good because he's a good character, but he gets a little boring to play because all you're trying to do is nair. But yeah, I think altogether, I think it's a really good patch. Very, very good for the health of the game. Just made some important.
I mean,
important changes.
I'm telling chat right now. It's been about almost nearly a year. It's been since the Joker update that I've actually touched Smash.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to go back, not even to really be competitive or anything of that nature, just to have fun in the game with the new characters. Cause I actually really I like Min Min a lot because I actually really like Arms. I actually really enjoyed Arms a lot, so I kind of wanted to jump in because I like Min Min a lot. So I was like, she looks pretty fun.
I think yeah, she's fun. I think you'd like it. Why not hop in, play me? We can have some fun.
I will.
I'm coming up on 1,000 hours.
As long as it's more like a tutorial than a actual match, I'm down. It's more you teach than just demolish me, so I never put the game in. I mean, I've never eaten a cartridge, but I mean, I'll eat the shit out of it if you beat me too hard. I'll just eat it. I'll never play it again.
You eat it?
Eat it. Well, no, I eat it first and then it eats it. You know what I mean? Also, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? Siphon, what's up? I know I said what's up to Andy. We got King Poe in the house. What's going on?
Happy birthday.
Yo, happy birthday, bro.
I know I told you last night, but happy birthday.
I saw Poe. He was streaming when I was going to sleep, and I woke up in the morning. This man was still streaming.
Yeah, he did a
Happy
sleep
birthday,
log.
Poe.
I don't remember how long it was. I don't know if it was 12 or 18 hours.
10 hours. I watched some of it this morning. I watched that man play Xenoblade for an hour. I was like, switch the game already, bro. Switch the game. But happy birthday, man. Happy birthday. Also, Siphon, congratulations on 99 subs on YouTube, man. Keep on pushing, bro.
So close.
So close. But yeah, so, I mean, overall, sounds like pretty happy with this Smash update. I mean, even if maybe the Arms character wasn't what everybody wanted, because I know a lot of people were crying about it, it's still good that at least she's a cool and viable character. And also, I want to petition for a Smash anime. I really like what they did with the announcement trailer. That anime style scene that they had in the announcement where Sakurai did his little at home thing. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yo, he was flexing on people. He was just hi, this is my house. Those are my TVs in case I want to watch TV while I'm watching other TV while playing a video game and making people spend money on things that they think they want.
Right.
Banjo-Kazooie.
That is
Fuck
pretty
you,
funny.
Banjo!
Does
I
anybody
hate
ever
that
play
DLC
him?
character. Not really. Like people acted like they want him in the game,
Yeah.
but he's a basic bitch character.
Is he? Oh,
So
okay.
who's the worst of the people who've been added to the DLC? Who's the worst one? Is it Banjo? You think?
In terms of like fun or like to play or just like
If you could choose one and just hit delete, which one would it be? Like they just don't matter that much. Either from like people having fun or they're just like not viable. Either way.
let's see. Banjo.
I mean that's fair.
I like how no matter if or when I ever play, I just pick Bowser, and he's always like OP.
Oh, Bowser's good. Bowser's hella good, especially online.
Wreck you. Yeah.
But like the character that I want like out of DLC that I just hate fighting.
Yeah.
He's like really, he's like a pain in the ass is Terry. Because as soon as you get him over 100%, this piece of crap can kill you in 3 hits.
Yo, Poke
I'm
Jeans,
not
what's
even
up?
joking.
Yo.
Like this dude will hit you 3 times and you will go yeet it off the stage.
Well,
But-
you know, speaking about yeeting, I mean, it's time to yeet over to our first topic of the night. So,
That wasn't the first topic?
no, it wasn't. So, we know with all that stuff about Smash and people being really happy about it, there's some news that came out today that kind of wanted to start the show and talk about this a little bit and really dig into it. And that's about next-gen game and next-gen game prices. So I'm going to read a little article to you guys. You guys may have started hearing about this if you guys lived on Twitter, social media today. You may have seen a lot of different news sites begin to do stories on this today. And I pulled one over from Digital Trends, and I thought this was really interesting. So this is mostly in comparison to NBA 2K21 that's going to be coming in September sometime this year, but it's not really the game. It's what they're doing with the game for next-gen hardware. So let me go ahead and tell you guys a story. It's a little bit of a meaty one, and then we'll kind of break it down. So Take-Two Interactive Software announced on Thursday, which is today, the NBA 2K21 would carry an MSRP of $69.99 for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X version of the game. Other publishers haven't announced pricing for their titles, but expect them to follow suit. This comes from a quote, "We believe our suggested retail price for NBA 2K21 on next-gen platforms fairly represents the value of what's being offered," said a 2K spokesperson. Quote, "Well, we are confident that NBA 2K21 will be a monumental leap forward for the franchise and a standout visual showcase on next-gen consoles. We recognize that it's our responsibility to prove this value to our fans and NBA 2K players. We're still looking forward to doing so and can't wait to show you in the upcoming months." That $10 price jump in the base cost of a game is likely, this comes from Digital Trends, to spark an uprising in hardcore gaming community, which is us. One that's both predictable and unnecessary. While nobody likes to pay more for things, especially in the midst of a pandemic, price increases on game software are long overdue. Again, this is their words, not ours. Publishers' reluctancy to pull the trigger has ultimately had a damaging effect on the industry. The last time publishers increased the base price of games, with the exception of deluxe and special editions, was in the year 2002, when the phase-out of the $50 price tag began and took a few years to get to where we are today. That was an 18-year run, which is remarkable amount of time for anything to stay the same price. Had video games increased over that rate, the rate of inflation would have been around $85 today. While games have stayed flat, the cost of making AAA games has gone up. These days, the average AAA game costs somewhere in the neighborhood of $60 million to create. Epic Epic cinematic games like The Last of Us or Grand Theft Auto 5
I like how you skipped that
can
word.
cost twice as much. That's before marketing costs, which can range from $30 million to $100, depending on how important a title is to the publisher. So there's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot to unpack.
I'll go first. I kind of have
Absolutely.
like a bunch of crap in my head that I kind of am going to spew out. I'm sure in a very organized fashion, as I always do. So what I find funny is that people that do play 2K for years now have been paying more than the base price, $79.99,
Yeah.
$99.99 for a game that is the base game and then filled with imagination, like not real currency and like jerseys and stuff like that. So basically they've been like paying $20 extra for just like extra fluff that is not real. It adds really nothing to the game other than having to save a few hours grinding on a my player, stuff like that. So they've already paid the extra money for the game, so I don't know why they would be upset just because they're not getting the extra crap, while not understanding the fact that the American dollar has devalued and that, you know, $60 is not worth the same as $60 10 years ago. Yet we expect games to maintain the same price, even though our economy is in constant flux, especially nowadays, with the borderline depression we've found ourselves in midway through 2020.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of, it's just kind of funny. I do think that an all digital future is a way to combat the inevitable like price inflation. Hype. So like taking out taking out all the extra cost of the cases and the discs and everything like that is going to be a way for companies to keep the bottom line around what is comfortable for everyone. People like only paying $60 for games. I go to Walmart, I get my games for $50.
Yeah.
And I'm, not everyone does. Some people, they only want to buy, digital, or they want to buy on Amazon, so they do pay the full price. So it makes me wonder, if games do go up to $70, is Walmart going to maintain that $10 difference to kind of set themselves apart? Like, hey, those games might be $70, but we're keeping it old school, $60 for Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
If Microsoft does follow suit with 2K and makes the next gen game $70, and then that also leads me to wonder, Cyberpunk, they're offering a free upgrade to the next gen. Are they going to, would this cause people to pay the difference, or is it just a free upgrade? So then you're paying $60 for, a $70 version of a game. It's a lot to kind of take in. It's a weird, it's a weird bridge that we have to cross eventually.
Yeah.
Where, things are not going to stay the same forever. In 5 years from now, we're going to be like, do you remember when games used to be $60?
Ugh.
So, okay. Much like you, I have like 19 different thoughts on this. And then chat, I see you guys making some really good points too. I'm going to get to you guys' kind of, let me get mine out and then I'll get to yours. So I think, let me start with NBA 2K. So my problem with 2K and a lot of the sports games, and even in this specific article, they mention like Grand Theft Auto, and I would kind of put Grand Theft Auto in a similar light of an always growing game, similar to like Destiny or like Division, stuff like that. I would put them kind of in a similar light, as they're just kind of always living on beyond their initial, launch of it. My problem with that is most of the time the games kind of launch in a fashion to where they're so heavy on microtransactions, like you were talking about earlier, Jake. And in some cases, there are some games that are not the sports ones that launch incomplete. And I know, much like you guys do at home, that I've put in a game dozens of times and I've had to download a 50 gigabyte patch or something that's just astronomical, and it's a patch on the first day. And, in a week's time, I download another patch. And then by the 3 months mark, the game is where it should have been 3 months ago. And with sports games, the sports games they make their money off microtransactions. They don't necessarily make it like day one. And we know that with this initial price jump up, that the microtransactions are still going to live in the same form that they have. And in 2K, almost the past 5 years, every year when they release the game, they have been in the news constantly of just shady crap that they're doing in their games with microtransactions. There was a year that I had to pay just to do my beard, right? They had this currency in the game called VC, and you could pay to get VC, their coins that you get, currency in the game. And then you spend the VC to, like, you would get haircuts or do your beard or whatever. And that was, like, really crappy. If you get really deep into their card games or into their league or certain modes, you need a lot of their internal currency. So they entice you by getting microtransactions. Again, they're not going to go away, so I'm fine with that existing. The problem is charging $10 more for a game. I don't really see where that cost should be passed down to the consumers, because in the next generation of hardware, not a lot is changing. A lot of people have been saying, oh, well, SSDs are going to be, the lifesaver of next gen, and they're going to completely change the way you do games. Well, the reality is SSDs and that kind of non-loading already exist on PC, and I'm going to tell you, like, it's not that revolutionary. Like, yeah, you save time when you jump in and out of a menu. When we've played like games like State of Decay, I remember a lot of times that she's like, "How are you in the game already?" And and it's because I'm playing on SSD.
Or I'll get kicked out while I'm driving. And
that's not that.
Still,
but
it's terrible.
And those are those moments, and yeah, it saves time for like loading. But next gen is only gonna look just a little bit better than what we have. It's just going to run better, right? A game that runs maybe at 30 frames today is going to run at 60. It's going to be smoother, transitions. Things are not, things that like aren't going to pop in as much. There are things that but it's not going to be this revolutionary jump. It's still based on the same hardware. It's just kind of like upgraded. So I don't know where that cost comes from, where they say, oh, we're going to charge you, $10 more. And to kind of switch, I hope this is not the norm that becomes, because I think that it's going to cause a certain population of gamers that they're going to have to wait, right? It's like a lot of gamers would like to be there day one, and they're not there day one today because of the cost of the barrier to entry, which is $60. You increase that number, you're going to lower your game sales. Maybe not over the longevity of the game, but initially out the gate. And for some, maybe like NBA 2K or like Madden, maybe that's not too big of a deal because, they know that the people that they do get are going to spend money in the game. But I think for certain games, if that becomes a industry norm, I think that a lot of games in the future may not get made because they just won't sell as much. It's a very interesting topic, and I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
I mean, the only thing I'm going to say about it is, I mean, yeah, inflation happens, and I've kind of been glad that it's been staying at the $60 price range this whole time. But, sorry, to Jake and to your comment earlier about maybe digital is the way to go to curve that, no. Because if you take physical out of the equation, how are you going to get your deals? There is literally no other competitor now other than physical and digital. The reason why things go on sale for digital is typically because you have a physical sale. And, you know, they want to keep it balanced. They're like, okay, well, if physical, like how we saw Cyberpunk, right, hasn't even been released yet. And if you purchase it physically on Amazon, you get it $10 cheaper, right? So instead of the $60 price tag, you get it for $50. There's no discount for physical or for digital yet.
My retort to that would be, there's huge summer sale on Steam. What is Steam competing with?
Yeah,
but Steam is PC.
But that also means waiting,
That's
bro.
digital.
Yeah.
But that also means waiting. Everybody's immediate gut reaction to is like, well, sales happen all the time. I just got something for 99 cents.
But you gotta wait for it.
But that doesn't happen day one. You know, you don't get a $10 savings on your digital games 3 months before they release. You wait 3 months after they release to get your discount.
The same thing. That's why Walmart offers it for that $10 discount if you go purchase it in person. You take that away, you know, Walmart's not going to be offering it anymore because why? There's no physical to give. I mean, how are they going to compete with a digital sale? At that point, they're out of the market completely for gaming.
I'm not.
At least for the games.
I'm not anti. I love physical games.
Yeah.
And I do realize that the major reason that there is sales from certain companies is because they have excess in stock and they need to get rid of it. They say, you know, we have, you know, 100 boxes of Starlink Battle for Atlas. What the heck are we going to do with it? Sell it for $8. Put it over next to the Switch games. Put an $8 price tag on it, and people will buy it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go on and try and get it, you know, digitally on the Nintendo, you know, eShop, it's whatever,
$60,
$40 still.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I do realize that, you know, there is a lot of merit in being able to get physical games on the cheap when there is kind of a, you know, an opportunity to do so. But it's a rare thing, whereas that, you know, it's not always like that. Like sometimes you want a physical game from a certain store and they just don't have it. You know, I spent a couple months trying to find Yu-Gi-Oh at like in my local area for the Switch.
Because you're a big nerd. If you didn't pre-order it, you don't deserve it. You don't deserve the Blue Eyes White Dragon. You can't have it.
So look, this is my biggest concern as far as the price increase, right? So $10, yeah, it might not be that much.
It's a lot over like a lot of games.
But think about it this way. You increase it the $10, now everything's $70 instead of the $60, right? Not everyone, you know, if those were already struggling before to get it, say day one because of the $60 price tag, they may wait for that physical drop to get multiple games on sale. Now, if we do go to the all physical, you know, route, they're not going to be getting that opportunity to get more multiple games on sale because, yeah, convenience-wise, you know, it's easier to get digitally because they can just download it on their console, you know, the second they buy it. But now they're not buying as many games as they used to. And so it's becomes that battle of picking and choosing what you want to play.
Let me hit you guys with one more question, and then I'm going to tend to the questions and comments in the chat. Last question. What if next generation, the thought process behind developers, publishers, and Sony, Xbox, you know, Microsoft, I'm not going to put Nintendo in there yet because don't you dare charge me $70 for a doo-doo port.
Kirby. For Kirby.
But let me ask you guys this. What if their thought process is we go up 10 and that's the industry standard, and to push their digital revolution, what if the cost that gets passed down to us, what if that $10, what if the $60 price is the digital price? Imagine that future. Imagine that fuckery, right? Like imagine that. Imagine they raise the bar to 70, But then the digital, like, oh, if you buy it on our marketplace, you get to buy it for $59.99.
I'd be so mad.
So
I know.
So then not only is the all digital console cheaper, but also the all digital games. Then you're having to pay extra for a personal preference of your own.
Yeah, imagine that shit.
Yeah, I'd be pissed.
I mean,
I don't know.
No, it wouldn't go over well at all because, like us, us being a physical collector, it's like literally pushing our hand, be like, oh, you really want physical? Where you got to pay up for it, and it's.
They're ready to do that with the console. But the
console, I'm only buying it once for a long-term use, right? Mm-hmm. Games, yes, they're a lot cheaper, but there's so many games that come out during the year, and as a physical collector,
no, yeah, I know they don't care about us though. They make their money from digital. They don't want to pay to print the 2-cent CD.
Yeah, they want to cut cost, and
Blu-ray. It's Blu-ray.
It's just.
I'm just
hurts.
throwing it out
hurts.
there. I'll throw it out there.
I
Okay,
don't like it.
Let's get to some of the comments in chat because you guys had some really good stuff.
Damn, how far are you going?
I have to go back pretty far. People had some really good stuff very far back. Andy earlier was talking about kind of the same thing we are there. He said that they aren't separating the pricing between digital and physical. Until that happens, making digital argument doesn't work. That's true. Jake says this was in reference to the 2K stuff. He says, I get it for sports games because many people only buy their one game a year. Other than that, I see some issues. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Chips, didn't they say it's a free upgrade? So no. So NBA 2K, they came out today. They said if you buy their Mamba edition of the game, which is their $100 edition of the game, then you will automatically be upgraded to your PS5 or Xbox One Series X. Sorry, your Xbox Series. That's going to be very hard, Xbox. Do something about that. Your Xbox Series X version of the game. If you are a basic bitch and you pay the $59.99, you have to repurchase the game. They may offer down the line a $10 upgrade. They didn't speak on that at all. But that's kind of where we're at so far.
Thank you, Andy. He said I'm a peach.
Jake, Dom described Dragon Ball Z Kakarot with the constant patches. Yeah, I mean, that's what happens. God. There's constantly broken games that are released all the time.
Oh, you want to talk about broken? The WWE.
That was 2K. See what I mean?
Oh,
God. Pointing out right there.
That was so bad.
I wanted to say something about what Chip said, where it says, I think they'd increase sales if they gave a sale on digital that's more attractive than physical copies. I mean, they do that shit now with all these sales. I think one thing that's really missing from like digital marketplaces is one of GameStop's most attractive deals, which is like buy two get one free, or buy 5 games $19.99 or under for $50 or something like that. Bundling games, like I realize they're 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10 pre-owned copies, but still giving people the opportunity to kind of get more bang for their buck is one of the smarter things GameStop does. And I think that if like PlayStation Store did that, a lot more people will be buying their games on the consoles themselves.
Well, in the same respect, Chips makes a really good point too when he talks about storage, right, in this all digital future, because on both fronts they have said. So basically, PlayStation has said if you want to have external storage, you can have your everyday external hard drive hooked up, but you can't play games off of it. To do so, you have to buy an SSD that's not even on the market yet, and who knows how much that's going to cost.
Oh, God.
And on the Xbox side, they want you to buy a memory card. They basically want you to go back like it's 2002 and buy a memory card, and they want you to stick that bad boy in the back of the Xbox. But the problem with that one is it's going to be limited, right? They're either going to sell you a 1 terabyte, maybe 500 gigabyte. They'll probably have a couple versions of it, but who knows how much that's going to cost, because that's going to be terribly expensive too. So again, with thinking about like,
I say it'd probably be in like the $20 price range because it can't be over.
how much?
$20.
No.
I mean, think about it. It can't be.
You got to add a one. It's not an actual memory card. It's an SSD. That's revolutionary.
Okay, but if it's too expensive,
a 1 terabyte hard drive for
how
your
do you expect people
computer.
to buy multiples?
1 terabyte hard drive for your computer. That's doo
$20.
Is $150.
$20. That's what I
mean.
I bought a 2 terabyte Seagate external hard drive for my Xbox One S a couple years ago. It was like $120.
Yeah, and you can't even use it anymore. You could plug it in, you can hold your games on it, but you can't run nothing on it.
$20.
So what do? You have to transfer them onto your actual like
SSD
internal memory.
Yep. Yo, we got a new member to the Peach Squad. Welcome, Poe. Yo, hold up the peach. And you, sir, today, you win this. Well, you don't win this exactly. You win a peach emo. Go ahead and start spamming that in chat right now. Yo,
peach.
welcome.
The peaches are juicy. Definitely.
Goosey
Georgia
juicy.
peaches up in this biatch.
This one's pretty fuzzy. I like it.
They call it Jakin and the Giant Peach. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Yo, what's up, Hat Kid? Welcome to the stream. How you doing?
Looks like I made a peach.
I can't even see. I don't know why my camera is so zoomed in. I can't see you guys at all. I can only see like in between you. I can see perfectly in between you, like a canyon.
I kind of see the peach.
Yeah, even Tiny's in chat says 1 terabyte SSDs are still $140 at Best Buy, and that's for a SSD that Sony has basically said is crap. It's just crap. It's trash. So even Sony said like you could put a lesser SSD in it, but you're gonna have the same problem as you do with an external hard drive. Chip says with the size of these game files they're reaching, even if you were to get a 4 terabyte, you can eat through that in no time. Yeah, honestly, I mean even today I play physical, right? And because of the size of the updates of the game, I'm constantly deleting stuff still. You know what I mean? So imagine an all-digital future, which, I mean, that's kind of where we're heading towards, so it's kind of hard to say, but I don't know. Any final thoughts, guys, on the price hike of video games here that we're going down in a few months?
It's scary. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I honestly don't like it. I don't know. I don't know what else to say other than...
Don't do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sounds cool. I don't know. Have you seen that video? This lady drives her car into an Arby's.
Into an Arby's?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No,
wow.
He's the he is the best interview. I think it's a joke, but it is so funny. I'll send you the link.
All right.
The show.
But anyways, yeah, going back, I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening with like this price hike. I'm hoping that like what happens is
like
that
one-off?
What?
Like it's a one-off.
I'm hoping that the community, the gaming community as a whole, outlets, people who cover games, I'm hoping that everyone's super vocal about this and maybe they change it. Maybe it's a one-time thing. My biggest worry is other companies following suit, like your Activisions, your Ubisofts, EA. You know, I'm worried about that. Because, again, like going into next gen, we're going to get a Miles Morales game that's probably going to come out the gate at $40.
You think so?
Right? How much more of a game is that than your annualized sports game that you pay $60 up front, and in 9 months, it's worth $2 at GameStop? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's very interesting. Very interesting. Jake says Arby's is like the elderly fast food place where the average customer is retired.
Hey, you know, I actually like Arby's.
I'm not gonna lie. Arby's has like their chicken and cheese sliders are decent, and also
the
they have
one?
a very good the what?
Spicy one?
No, like the little mini ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those are bomb. I mean, their curly fries is good, and they have good sauce options.
Their honey mustard's very good, and they got like ice cream floats like for summer.
No, Tinies. I do not go there because every time I do, you're hogging up the line trying to get all the menu. So I walk out and I go to Wendy's.
Wendy's is my main burger bitch.
I like Arby's over Wendy's. That's just me. Dom hates Arby's.
Okay, so we're going to talk about this a little bit more next week when Mr. Your Player 2 comes back. But I did want to give you, I promise, I want to give you guys a little bit of my thoughts today on...
No spoilers!
On The Last of Us 2. Jake, you're not going to play that game, right?
I watched a 50-minute review of it last night.
That sounds terrible,
with complete spoilers. So
no,
I'm not gonna play it.
Okay, so
and you know what? I feel complete watching that review. I feel like I didn't need to put myself through it. And honestly, it was a good choice just to watch the review and not waste my money.
What you're saying is you don't have an opinion. The answer is no.
I saw game. I saw gameplay.
So
I haven't given anything yet.
Since we're not doing spoilers, the only question I have for you, Jake, and after watching that, mind you, because I haven't seen anything other than the stupid spoiler you gave me when it first came out. Like, you made me watch the videos.
I still haven't given any opinion yet.
No, I want to hear Jenkins.
It doesn't matter. He didn't play the game.
But he saw a review. So
I watched
based
gameplay,
off of that,
bro.
So based off of that,
I'll put that in my nobody cares pile.
You said you won't buy it for yourself, but would you recommend it for other people? Should they get it or should they pass? That's all I want to know.
You liked the first game?
I just finished the first game yesterday because, again, you know, I needed to finish it to catch up with the story so that way I can start playing it tomorrow.
I think there is no reason to play the second game.
Because of the first?
Because of what happened, like, because of what they do to the story in the second game. I honestly think, this is my genuine opinion, after watching gameplay and just seeing how the entire story plays out, I think you can play the first game and be content and just move on with your life.
All right, I disagree.
I honestly,
let me take it. Let me take it from here.
Remember, no spoilers.
No, I'm not gonna spoil anything.
I just want to know.
I'm not gonna spoil anything, but let me give you guys my little rant here of the game. So I've been seeing a lot of toxicity and a lot of negativity on the second iteration of the game, which is directly combative to the glorious 94 Metacritic and the constant 10 out of 10s that have just littered every single review site that for people that do this on a professional level, right? So it's kind of hard to say that, hey, this game is terrible when the people who are professionals are reviewing, the game. You know, that's basically like telling Michael Jordan that he should shoot a little bit to the left. It's like, bitch, he's Michael Jordan. So anyways, let me just digress on that. So my raw opinion of the game so far is I think most people's negativity and toxicity of the second game is coming from a place to where they have what I like to describe as a hard-on for the first game. Now, I have been a fan of a lot of different games.
It's a weird way to say
and
it.
as I progress into my older age, there's one thing that I do, and it's be open-minded, right? And to realize that when you go into another iteration of a game or you go into a side story of a game that is maybe a side game that is not your main game, much like how Persona 5 Scramble is going to be not Persona 5 2 and not Persona 6, right? You have to be kind of open-minded. I think with this game is a lot of people have such an attachment to the first one and the specific characters that when Naughty Dog attempts to do anything with that outside of just falling in line to what exactly they wanted, they immediately go and whine and cry. Now, an outside perspective, which is mine, is I didn't really like the first one. I thought the gameplay was clunky, and I thought the story was okay. I wasn't attached to any of the characters, and from the beginning of the game, I thought the wrong kid died. I'm not even a big fan of Ellie. Going into this game, the beginning of the first. Let me start it here. The beginning of the first game, I thought was okay. I saw what they were trying to do. It felt very rooted in 2013 and what other shows like Walking Dead and similar things that were being like hype in culture at that time were doing. In my opinion, I didn't really like the beginning of the game. I thought it was a slow start. I thought it could have been better. La la la. This game, I jumped into it and I was almost immediately captivated, way further than I was in the first one. The first one took me forever to complete, over years, because it had, like what Jake said earlier at the top of the show, the God of War effect. There's just something about the game that just didn't get him from the beginning. And now he's over here still 2 years later with his 9th save file, trying to get through it, right? So I had the same problem with the original Last of Us. So I can literally say this game, I'm kind of jumping in from a perspective. I have zero attachment to the characters. I don't care, who lives, who dies. I don't care who they decide to tell a story through, So the game starts off really good. What they do in the story, I think that a lot of people have been complaining so far about the pacing. I'm about 14 hours in, so I'm maybe halfway through, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, depending on how fast I've played. I haven't compared myself to other people, nor have I watched any reviews, because I just didn't want to get spoiled. I wanted to have a real opinion. I feel like the pacing of the game... Yeah.
May I interject?
Yeah, go ahead. I haven't finished yet, but go ahead.
You said that you disagreed with me. However, your opinion is completely separate from what I was talking about. You just said that you didn't enjoy the first game and you had no attachment to the previous characters.
Yep.
I was speaking as if you loved the first game, you loved the characters, then there's no reason to play the second game. So,
but that's
how would
but that's kind of where
you weren't disagreeing with me. You were completely coming from a different angle.
Well, again, I think that even if you were completely in love with the characters, I still think that the second one is definitely still rooted in the exact same world, and the characters still exist. If anything, you're going to get a lot of backstory to some of the characters that you didn't in the first game. But I think where people are going to get pissy is the way that you get it, and it just depends who you like and who you don't like within the game. But
well, it's like this. It's like you play Mass Effect 2. Now this is wildly exaggerated. You play Mass Effect 2. You're like, wow, Shepard is my man. I love Commander Shepard. And then,
I keep thinking it's a female. I keep thinking it's a female because it's Dom.
I don't want spoilers. God, I want to make an analogy, but I don't want spoilers.
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it, because I haven't played it. I haven't even played a second of it. I'm starting it tomorrow.
Anyways.
No spoilers.
Anyway, just continuing on.
Never mind then. Never mind.
I think the story's more captivating. Obviously, as you guys have seen on the gameplay on screen now and everything leading up, obviously your main lead, the main character is Ellie. I think what they do, storytelling-wise, is really cool. But kind of where the game gets me a little bit more this time around, outside of the story, which there's some parts like every other game in the world, take it or leave it. It's not perfect. It's the gameplay. I think that some of the gameplay choices that they made here are really good. I think the shooting feels way tremendously better than the first one. I love the ability to craft. I love the ability to get like the really strong RPG mechanics to where you can learn how to craft different items. You can learn. It's kind of like the Spider-Man effect. If you guys remember Spider-Man, how you could like you could do different things at one time. Like in an example in this one, you can craft a gas can, and you can hit somebody with a gas can. You can put a mine down. You can wait for them to kind of stumble into your mine. They blow up. Maybe you didn't get the other guy. You shoot him with an arrow. Maybe that arrow is now explosive because you unlocked that, and now his head explodes or something. Like, you could do some really cool stuff in this game.
Sounds like Horizon.
You can do some really cool stuff in this game, and I hate nothing more in games than the word stealth, because I'm not a stealthy guy, but this one is really fun. It's really fun to do a lot of the stealth elements and doing the stealth kills. I mean, if you're a dog lover, you may not want to play this game because you're going to have to kill some puppers. Like, it goes really deep into it.
Spoilers, okay.
There's no spoiler with that. They show dogs in the preview.
But don't worry, guys, because in the second half of the game, in the second half of the game, you love dogs. All right, dogs are your best friend.
But
In
either
fact,
way,
it's kind of manipulative.
I don't think dogs is what you would call a spoiler. But
it could be. What if I get attached to the damn thing?
No, you won't, because aside from that, I think there are some things that they could have done better from a storytelling perspective. Like everything else in the world. I think I think the idea of driving the story forward was halted by some of the things that they weren't able to tell the player as they tried to push the story forward. So they make some choices in the game to make sure that the player is completely well informed as the story continues to push forward. And those are the elements that I actually hate about the game. So then that's just a personal opinion, because I feel like what they try to do for the storytelling is a waste of my time. And I feel like they're kind of slapping me in the face as a player. To sum it up, though, because I don't want to take too long on this topic. To sum it up, though, I see that for me on a personal level, 14 hours in, if I had to give this a rating, I would say it's like a very, very strong 9 out of 10. I can see why it's going to be in a lot of people's contenders for Game of the Year. I can see why it might be in people's contenders for Game of the Generation. I think that what it does it extremely well. And some of the downfalls, even though I am saying that I necessarily didn't like them, I still see why a lot of other people might. And again, like I said, at the top of my opinion, that was told by people who do this on a more professional level than I do.
Now, we are going to have a follow-up to this discussion next week.
Yes.
As Dom has from now until then to finish the game, as he is
rolling credits this
halfway
weekend.
Through.
I'm going to start it tomorrow because Dom works tomorrow, so I'm going to start in the morning. And then I'll let him finish while I play some other stuff in a separate room, so that way he doesn't spoil it for me. Now, the funny part I can say about this is probably the first legit game that Dom has found that has given him jump scares. Because
these are good moments too.
I have been downstairs, so of course you guys know that this is our loft, and right below here is where I have my desk and I work. And there's certain days where like he's been off and I'm working, and I hear him like, ah! And I just like look up.
You gotta play the game with headphones
I just
on.
look up and I'm like, you okay there? He's like, I was just a little spooked. I wasn't expecting that to happen.
This game has some good moments. It gets real dark.
I've been like just walking upstairs, and then same thing. He'll just yell, and then he'll look at me. He's like, "What you looking at?" And I'm like, "You okay there?" And he's like, It just came at me. Like, I wasn't expecting it. And, like, there'll be moments where he's be like, oh, wow, this is so beautiful. Ah! And, like, just scream. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
There's a lot of good moments in this game. Real quick, I wanted to address Chips' comment. It's kind of hard to say, like, something very definitive without spoiling some of the stuff, because if anybody in chat intends to ever play it, even if I dance around specifics, but I tell you what I want to say, like storytelling wise, or
it'll ruin it,
or even mechanically. Some of it's mechanically is late game, and some of the storytelling stuff, the moment I tell you kind of what I don't like about it, it'll give it away. And if I tell you what I do like about it, it'll give it away. But the one thing I can say is I'm typically really critical about stuff that I genuinely enjoy. This game is definitely not trash. It's definitely more of the masterpiece than anything, but it's a masterpiece with some downfalls, if that makes sense.
Chips is being facetious because of a lot of reviewers on Metacritic complain about a lot of aspects of the game and then give it a 100.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a perfect game. I mean, that's kind of why I said like I would give it like a strong 9 because I think of the things that it does so well. Like it's like Fire.
Game and then...
I mean, I don't honestly even like I could finish it and I'm still gonna have the same highs and the same lows. You know, the only thing that's gonna change slightly.
So you've just
Have you started taking
about...
steroids yet? Have you are you know what I'm talking about?
Am I
If you guys say any more, I'm gonna punch you both.
Are you in high school or are you on steroids?
High school. I've graduated, sir. I've graduated and I'm hitting some iron.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's the second comment that I'm not a fan of. But regardless, again, it's like what I was gonna say is it's like Fire Emblem last year, right, Jake? We loved it, right? You loved it?
I love it.
Would you give it a 9? Would you give it a 10?
I'd give it an... I'd give it a 9.5.
Okay.
And that's just from watching somebody else play it.
No. The reason, what I'm fishing for is you give it such a strong... You give it such a strong rating, but couldn't we sit here for an hour and talk about what we don't like about it?
Yes.
We could, right? But that's my point there is I could sit here all day and talk about what I didn't like about Fire Emblem, much like reviewers could and did when it came out, but it still has a 92 on Metacritic, right? So, I mean, again, I think it's kind of one of those things.
The perfect game, 10 out of 10, is so hard to do. And the fact that I feel like too many people throw around 10 out of 10s. Because even like Breath of the Wild, that is an amazing game, is not 10 out of 10. I mean, it's a 9.5 because while there are parts of it that make it so great that the minuscule things that need to be changed only impact half a point. So like the exploration and the meal cooking and the different shrines and the sacred what is it, the sacred beasts or the divine beasts, they're so great that like your sword breaking after 4 times using it doesn't really matter as much. That's kind of how it is with Fire Emblem, but I don't know if that's how it is with Last of Us.
Well, we should save the rest of it for next week when we have the rest of our cast here.
Yeah. Regardless, so Microsoft is in the news next, guys. Microsoft renews Fable trademark, and this comes across because of sequel territory here. So Fable is one of the highest regarded series in Xbox history. It really set the Xbox on a really good journey of RPGs that kind of set forth the future. If you guys are excited about Fable, which we know some people are, some people aren't, there was a new trademark which they did mark with the intent to use, so hopefully this comes to fruition pretty soon here. But Microsoft has applied to renew its Fable trademark as rumors of a sequel to Lionhead's RPG franchise, and Lionhead's not around anymore. You can check out the trademark application, which was filed on June 26th, so just a few days ago. Obviously, it's standard practice for businesses to renew trademarks for IPs. Nintendo does this all the time, and the Nintendo fanboys out there, they go freaking nuts when they renew anything from 1986. You're not getting it. This happens all the time. So this happens especially when you notice the intent to use tag, which is marked as yes, despite current tag being marked as no. The Fable rumor mill has been spinning for years at this point, and there's plenty of information to dig into. Earlier this week, Microsoft downplayed the significance of a placeholder Twitter Fable account, and they also had a Perfect Dark one as well, so cross your fingers there. Obviously, despite having it been registered in March of this year by a user with a Microsoft email address. To follow up on that, one of the guys, I think Aaron Greenberg from Microsoft, came out and said that, they just renew it in case they ever had to use it, is basically what they said. But Some of the people think out there, some of the journalists and other outlets think that this could be hinting to a Fable game being announced in the next foreseeable future, somewhere in August when Xbox has their event. What you guys think?
So they filed an intent to use trademark.
Yep.
So basically, they have 6 months to either use it or ask for an extension and show that they're like, on good faith going to use it. But you can do it like 5 times, so you can delay it for like up to 3 years. So it is kind of interesting. I would like a Fable game. Recent news is kind of giving me hope about Microsoft going into the next generation. I'm not a big Fable guy though. It takes a lot for a Western RPG to like pull me in. I don't know what it is about them. I only like the ones I like. I really like.
Yeah.
Skyrim, Fallout New Vegas, but a lot of them, Dragon Age, Fable, I never got into them. I don't know what it is. Can't do it. But I'm willing to give a new Fable a chance, and I do hope that Microsoft uses it, because I know a lot of people that want to play Fable. I know like Nintendo. I think Nintendo and his wife really like Fable.
Yeah, I'm not. I had the original one. That's the only one I've ever played. Well, I played the anniversary one as well, more recently in the future. But the first one's really the only one I've ever played. I never played Fable 2. I think there's a Fable 3. I never played that either. So I don't have too much attachment to it. I don't know if I would necessarily be into it. I mean, I'm always down to try it. But what I feel is that Microsoft definitely needs something that's going to get their fans excited, and I think Fable could be that, or at least it could be one of those type of titles. So I want to see it happen for Xbox fans, and I want to see it happen that way. They actually have a more competitively viable game offering, especially for their next gen hardware, to, like Andy said in the chat, to be a system seller. So I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. It's nice. It's nice little news. We always hear about trademarks getting renewed, and kind of always gets our hopes up. 9 times out of 10, it's just, it's just standard practice. But, hopefully we see a little something later on this month. Hopefully. Maybe even a demo. Oh, damn. Could you imagine? If during that Microsoft demo thing, they dropped a demo for a new Fable?
Dude, I can imagine, because Xbox Summer Game Fest event is going to have more than 60 downloadable demos. Yes, you guys did hear me right. You're going to be able to download some demos at home. 18 of these are bringing the E3 show floor to your living room, or your desk, or your closet, or whatever little cave that you're hopped up into playing video games. This comes over from our friends at Polygon. So in a blog post, Microsoft's Glenn Gregory, no idea who that is, but Microsoft's guy, cautions that the demos won't always be representative of the final product, since many of the games are some way off of their release. That's obviously standard practice for show floor demos at E3, PAX, and other events, of course, but it's unusual for a major gaming platform to make unfinished games available for such a wide audience. There will be more than 60 demos available, and while the list is still being finalized, Gregory, the Microsoft representative, says it should include somewhere between 75 and 100 when the dust settles. Some of these confirmed titles are and include Chris Tales, no idea what that is, Destroy All Humans, which is coming out later this year, Haven, Hellpoint, Skatebird, which this one looks pretty cool. It's about literally you're a bird that's a skater bird. The Veil.
I'm excited for that.
The Veil Shadow of Crown. Raji, an Ancient Epic, and a game called Welcome to Elk. Microsoft Summer Game Fest demo event will be available to access from July 21st to July 27th on Xbox One consoles. The company is planning to show off next-gen Xbox Series X games at a separate event this month. So this is pretty cool. Like, this is actually very exciting. If you guys have ever participated in any of the events, you know, some of the games you play are a little bit janky, but you get to play them months, if not years, before the games actually release. So the fact that they're going to be releasing some of these demos that would have been purposed for E3 to the public for even a little bit of time, and 6 days is a long time to be able to dig your teeth into a demo. Like, typically when you go to an event, you have hours. You don't even have 6 hours to dig your teeth into a game, let alone 6 days.
And then you're wasting most of your time just standing in line to test it.
Yeah, so one of the games in here is Destroy All Humans. I played that
one
at E3 last year, and I think I played maybe for 20 minutes.
You didn't like it.
And I didn't like it. And that game, it's all of it, I didn't really like the first one. That's kind of where the problem lies.
And that's why I kind of want to try the second one, is because I actually had a lot of fun memories playing the first one. So when you said that you didn't like it, I was kind of skeptical, because I was like, but that's you.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it is.
So I'm kind of glad that it's on the demo list, because I kind of want to test it out.
Yeah. And we're going to get up to 60. Like, that's pretty crazy. Even if they're smaller ones, right?
I mean, it's a whole week, though. Hopefully these demos are not like an hour long each. If they're about like 20 to 30 each, I mean, I'm going to try to play as many as I can.
Well, I mean, you got to think of it as them being as long as the typical one you try on the E3 show floor. Some of them are over in 15 minutes.
Exactly.
You know?
That's what I'm saying. So hopefully we get a good chunk of them, like each one, like at least 30 minutes each. 15 minutes, I mean, it's going to be kind of sad. I kind of think of it like the Resident Evil demo, like where it gave you a whole section of the map. It wasn't on a timer kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it let you explore. That probably would be too long, because then I would feel like, okay, well, I wasted too much time on this one game while I could be demoing others. So that's why I kind of think that sweet spot is a good like 30 minutes per game. 45 max. But yeah, definitely I'm excited, because I want to definitely sink my teeth into a lot of them. Like this peach.
Hopefully they're juicy.
Yeah.
They're juicy.
Well, we'll find out at the end of this month.
Yeah.
I, for one, am really looking forward to sitting there and downloading all of these and then deleting them swiftly off my console after finishing.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm sure I'll be playing my Nintendo Switch in the meantime while all this shit
better hope you guys have enough gigabytes in your internet for all the overages you guys are gonna go over.
Hello, Microsoft. Yeah, I heard you have 12. Can you lend me some teraflops?
Oh yeah.
I'm on a mobile hotspot, you son of a bitch. But yeah, I mean, it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I saw a very interesting poll on Twitter. It said, "Did you miss E3 this year?" And it had about 4,000 votes, and 70% said yes. And you know what? I completely agree.
I do too.
I like looking forward to just 1 week of just banger announcements back to back to back, and you can kind of like know, okay, Tuesday we're getting a Nintendo Direct, and then they're gonna lay out their fall plans, and then Microsoft's gonna show off something mediocre, and then Sony's gonna show off some cool shit.
I miss it too.
But
like, I miss it too.
Yeah, this
but
last
now
year,
we're kind of like,
or this last month was very sad when it came to everybody missing E3. So hopefully we get to go next year. But considering how 2020 has gone, I'm glad that they're doing this demo event.
You know, what kind of sucks too, because when you have E3, right? How many smaller games that don't get as much screen time do you discover during
a lot of stuff got missed.
E3? Because right now, right, if Bandai releases a trailer for, Poo Poo Dungeon Sword JRPG game, typically,
I love it.
You probably won't see it because it's just in your YouTube feed, and you're like, I'm not gonna click on that. But when you're watching, one of the E3 showcases, or you're watching, those events where you see like Jeff Keighley, he wasn't gonna be there this year anyways. But when you see Jeff Keighley on the YouTube stage, and they're doing the developer interviews and they're showing the game, you're like, ooh, ooh, that looks nice. And you're like, you would have never.
And then you hear the crowd yelling, like screaming for a game they've never seen before in their life.
Yeah, or you would have never been interested in that game before, but because it's on the E3 stage in some capacity, you now have an interest in it. I discover games like that all the time. And the other thing that sucks is everything's just so spread out. We started in May. We're going to get this at the end of July. They're going to have something else in August. It's just so spread out. And if E3 would have happened this year, we would have got the boxes. We probably would have got the prices. We would have got all the games coming for the foreseeable next 6 months to a year further down the line. And it just sucks. But I mean, I'm so excited that, even with this pandemic going on, that we are still going to get some kind of demos, at least on the Xbox side. I think Xbox has the most work to do, which is letting people feel what some of the games coming to their platform is going to feel like going forward. With that being said, okay, so let's move on to the last topic of the night. We talked about Xbox enough. I gotta back off a little bit because I don't want people to think I'm bleeding green over here. I got a little bit of blue too. So the PlayStation 5. So with the PlayStation, they're doing something really cool going into this next generation, similar to what they did for the release of the PlayStation 4. So this comes from our one of our favorite guys over at PlayStation, Mr. Shuhei Yoshida, talking about indies. So this comes from the blog directly. He's talking about indies and a day of captivating new games. And then I want to ask you guys a question at the end of this too, when you get your thoughts. But this is from Shuhei Yoshida over there at PlayStation. He says, "Hi everyone." That's Shu. That's not me. As some of you may have noticed, I have long been a fan of indie games. And ever since I was appointed as head of Indies Initiative for PlayStation in November last year, I have been working closely with all departments at Sony Interactive Entertainment to elevate our efforts to help make indie developers' lives easier and their titles shine in their super competitive market. I'm pleased to formally announce that the PlayStation Indies Initiative, with PlayStation Indies, we hope to spotlight and support the best of the best indie games being published on PlayStation and the entire indie community as a whole. Our goal is to make PlayStation the best place to develop, find, and play your indie games. Today, alongside news of the PlayStation Indies Initiative, we're happy to debut 9 imaginative and exciting titles coming to both PS4 and PS5. Stay tuned throughout because they'll be revealing a lot more in the coming future. Can't wait to hear what you think. And also, in lieu of this, they also announced that once a month they will be adding a brand new indie game to the PlayStation Now service that I'm sure you have at home. What do you guys think? What do you think about indies?
I will say I am conflicted because I love indie games. I think you know that, Dom.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite games are indie games. I just feel like games that are untainted by like the big corporations just have a lot of times they'll have like they have like more soul to them. However, I do not want to play them on PlayStation. I don't know what it is. I like to play my indies on my Nintendo Switch. Something about it takes me back to playing like Game Boy Advanced, I guess, and just laying in bed and just playing it. It's more casual. And I feel like an indie game is meant to be casual, relaxing, just kind of, engulf yourself in the story and the world that these people made, because they poured a lot of time and heart into it. Whereas I like to play the big cinematic games on my TV, but I like to have a more personal experience with the indies. I don't know, it's a little weird, but I do appreciate what they're doing and kind of giving more light to indies on the PlayStation platform. But at the same time, I don't necessarily want to play them on there.
All right, so let me ask you a question as an indie aficionado. I heard this on a podcast I was listening to, I think yesterday, maybe day before, in regards to this topic. Similarly, with your love for indie games, over the next, you're gonna get your shiny new consoles, and I'm gonna include your Nintendo Switch. So you're gonna have your trifecta of consoles. And indie games come out in plethoras, right? They come out in droves. Sometimes they come out 50 games a month, indie games do. For the foreseeable next 2 years as an indie fan, would you pick indies over your AAA and AA titles? So over the next 2 years, if you could only choose one type of game to play, you're either, I'm only going to play indies for the next 2 years, I'm only going to play AA and AAA games. Which would you play? Because you're
that was a funny question. That's a hard question. It's
not that funny. It's not that hard.
I mean, here's the thing. There is an indie game that's coming out hopefully this year that I am looking forward to as much as any AAA game that's come out in the last 5 years.
Absolutely.
That's Sports Story.
Absolutely.
I want to play that game more than like any other game this year that I know of. That being said, Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 could come out next year.
It sure can, buddy.
So, yeah, I'd have to go with AAA, I guess.
Okay.
Begrudgingly.
Let me ask you sure. Let me ask you a bonus question, Jake. And this is where it gets me. I can very much tell you guys that I'm extremely picky when it comes to games, and I think that I'm not even going to say it, but I think about 80% of certain offerings aren't up to par. How many of the indie games that you play do you honestly finish?
I think of it as like a taste test. Go in from Baskin Robbins and try the different flavors.
Sure, absolutely.
I finish every indie game that I love. There you go. There's a good answer.
Okay, think about the last 50 that you've bought. And maybe that's all of them ever. Put a number on it. Out of 50, how many do you think you finished? Slap a digit on that. Talking about 10? Are we talking about 25? Talking about 35 out of 50? What are we looking at?
Out of 50 indie games?
Yeah, out of the last 50. Think about the last 50, $1.99, 99 cents, $10.99.
I don't buy that shit. I don't buy that shit.
Whatever it is, think about the last 50 that you finished. Well, how many do you think you've actually how have you finished? How many?
I don't know, maybe 7 or 8.
Okay, that's not a bad number. So, the only reason that I asked that is I love the push for indie games. I know what it does for the market. I know what it does to push especially a brand new console. I know what it does for a marketplace like the Nintendo Switch, right? Is you get in that lull of games to play, you check out the eShop. Well, Saturday Morning RPG's 22 cents right now on the eShop. Let me just play that. And then you play it for 5 minutes. and then you never touch it again. The problem that I have is it's just we're just so saturated with just so many of those types of games that like I would like them to invest more into less we're going to make a push for indies, and maybe we're going to make a push for certain developers, right? Like you said earlier, Sports Story, right? As you're looking really forward to that. What would that developer do if they had a little bit of Sony money or a little bit of Nintendo money? You know what I'm trying to fish for? Like, instead of saying we're just going to support indies and then they're going to do these indie showcases that nobody really cares about. You see maybe 1 or 2 games out of the 90 that they show. What if they like put more support into some of the things that, I'm trying to fish for there?
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Like, I would love to see that.
You're saying, like, man, like metaphorically, you have a peach pie. And you're like, wow, that peach pie is, like, really good. But what if there was more peaches in it?
Yeah.
What if there was more? What if there was brown sugar on top and more peaches? But, hypothetically, it's a better pie.
Like, okay.
But some would say that there's too much peaches and it's too much sugar.
Here's the example.
I miss my old pie.
Here's the example, right? You have a developer that did like Golf Story and you love it. What if tomorrow Nintendo said, hey, how about we give you Wario? And now it's Wario's Golf Story. What could they do with that, right?
I don't want that.
Or whatever. Insert any intellectual property character that you could think of from one of the major publishers or developers. And what if they had a little bit of that? Think about how much more visibility it would have. Think about how much more popularity it could have. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I guess so. But I I don't want everything watered down with, like, mainstream characters and everything like that. I like that it's just that you're just like a not a middle-aged, but like just a random dude that wakes up one morning and is like, man, I want to I want to learn to play golf. My ex-wife left me. She's not very nice to me. Everyone seems to think I suck at golf and go on this crazy adventure. And I don't want like Kirby popping out of the bushes.
Oh my god.
You would love Kirby Golf Story, and you know it. I don't know either. I'm just saying.
It's the same reason people don't listen to the radio. You know what I mean? Why they go on to Pandora and just search, listen to whatever Cage the Elephant station on Pandora and listen to kind of like more obscure music because it's like refreshing. Not all of it's good.
I mean, yeah. About 80% of the Switch's eShop isn't good. But
that's generous. I'd say like 85. There's a lot of bad games on there.
I mean,
every now and again, you get some good shit.
But I'm even thinking about a game. So, dude, last year after Fire Emblem, I had a really strong appetite for another similar RPG, SRPG game like Fire Emblem, right? So I started playing this small game. It's from an indie developer, called Fell Seal, and it's also a SRPG. And the battle mechanics are fantastic. The story is okay, and if the story would have had some of the characters that I have more familiarity with, I would have been more engrossed into the game. But instead, after about 6 hours, I put it down. So I just think that like. Maybe it's not necessarily, insert Sackboy into this indie game, but maybe it's Sony having a division that instead of, marketing for indies, maybe it's they're funding indies, right? Or, maybe they have like, kind of like the ID at Xbox stuff, how like they're funding indies. Like, I think PlayStation should do something like that as well,
I mean, when they had their PlayStation, Direct, quote unquote, a lot of the games that really stuck out with, the entire middle of the presentation was indies.
Bug Snack.
Shut up.
You like the Bug Snack?
Hey.
Fuck that game.
You gonna be a giant
But,
peach?
But some of them looked really good, and like
Yeah.
one of them, I can't remember what it was called. It was like a girl with like little gremlins that followed her around.
Yeah, the Sony's Pikmin. I like that one too. That one looks really good.
I'll play that on my TV.
Yeah.
That looks fun, but I mean, they look good. They look good. I don't know if I'll play them.
No, I'm just giving you crap. I know there are certain indie games I like too, but you know, at the end of the day, it's like my attachment and the things that I'm talking about when the year ends about best games of the year. It's very rare that a indie game makes those lists. You know what I mean? Not that I didn't play them, not that I didn't enjoy any of them, because I play a lot of obscure games. I play a lot of like obscure like JRPG style games. You know, that are smaller. It's just, I think at the end of the year when I'm thinking about like, wow, what were the standout experiences I had this year? It's just sad to say that a lot of them, unfortunately, aren't of the indie nature.
Have you played Wargroove?
Yeah, I didn't like Wargroove.
Yeah.
I have that on the Switch.
It's very similar to this same Fire.
Similar to what? What's it similar to?
The Fire Emblem.
I mean,
like,
it's similar to Fire Emblem like 10 years ago, before the 3DS versions. It's basically like Advance Wars, but slightly different.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I have it digital, and I ran into it on physical for $15, and I picked it up.
That's not
It's
bad.
one of those.
That's not bad.
have actually a few indie games that I like digital, and I end up finding them physical and add them to the collection.
I mean, there are
most
some
recent
games.
Is Undertale.
There are some games I enjoy too, like Bloodstained. Bloodstained was fantastic last year. That was a standout one for me. Bloodstained was fantastic. We also picked up. I mean, I do pick up indies too. You know, right now I have Coffee Talk on the Switch, which is a very obscure visual novel game, and I really like that a lot.
Yeah.
I love Horizon Chase Turbo. I thought that was a really, really like one of the best.
Is it Untitled Goose Game?
Untitled Goose Game
I love
is
that
an indie
one.
game. Yeah, Untitled Goose Game fantastic.
I never played that. There's too
what?
much.
Dude, it's so
There's too
good.
much
Look,
around it.
if
I just wanted
I
people to shut up about it.
no, if I ever recommend a Switch game, it's going to be Untitled Goose Game, hands down every time, because it's that good. It's so fun. I mean, come on, Jacob, give it a chance. I forgot who, but somebody like tried making a joke to me. It's like
Stardew Valley. Yeah, a lot of people love Stardew Valley.
Is good. They say it's like the other Animal Crossing game. I'm like, no. Yeah, I know.
We're gonna try. We're gonna try out a game this month, which I need to respond to people. But it's called Story of Seasons. So, like I said, you know, there are a lot of. To sum it up, there's a lot of games that are really cool. I just, outside of them just pushing indies from a marketing perspective, I would like to see them maybe do a little bit more for, you can't give money to everybody, but maybe a little bit more financial backing for some of the ones that they see that might be more viable. And I could be speaking out my ass, right? They could be doing that already, like the Sony Pikmin game that Jacob was talking about. They could be doing some back-end funding. I don't personally know, right? So... if that is happening, I think they just need to be a little bit more vocal about it, because that's okay too, you know. So,
well, Nintendo did that when they gave Cadence of Hyrule, you know, when they gave the Crypt of the Necrodancer studio the rights to use.
I like that game.
Zelda
I did not
assets.
like the game with the music bouncing stuff on though. I had to play it as a normal, what do you call it? Normal game. Because the music stuff, it effed me up. I didn't like it, and B, like, it just messed me up. It was like I just put it down, and then I turned it off, and I had an immediately better time.
See, I have Crypto the Necrodancer on PS4.
Yeah.
And that's a hard game.
I didn't play that. I didn't play that one.
It's hard. It's hard. Don't do it. Unless it's free, then do it. But you'll play it for probably 10 minutes and be like, wow, this is not fun.
Cadence of Hyrule I thought was hard. Again, unless you turn off the music piece of it, and it becomes a little bit easier, which was more of a baby mode for me. And I liked it a lot better with that. So don't judge me. Well, Jake, it's been fun today. I think with that, I think that's the end of tonight's and today's episode. Whether you're watching this on the replay or whether you're watching this on your leisure, or maybe you're listening to this on Apple, iTunes, or Spotify.
Yeah.
And if you are, that's pretty funny. I haven't updated that thing in a very long time. So if you're listening to this, it's probably like 2021 by now, because that's probably when I'll get to it. So with all that being said, though, thank you guys for joining episode 56 of the LootCast here today. Make sure, if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys go support Mr. Jake in the Bacon. I'm gonna put his link here in the chat. Go throw him a sub, because one day he's just gonna go live, and you want to be there for it.
One day.
You want to be there for it. You don't want to miss that monumental event.
I lost my cord. You're gonna let me? All right. You're gonna let me do my outro and say hi to everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
And
go
say
crazy.
Hi.
All right. Let me say hi to everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for the last couple hours. Really appreciate everybody. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and don't forget, you can member up. Join the Peaches if you want to.
Yeah.
It's not very much a month, and you can be one of the cool kids. We will be back here next Thursday. In the meantime, you will be able to catch Pokemon and Animal Crossing streams, I'm sure, on this channel.
Yeah.
So be there or be square. Everybody have a safe night, and we're out of here.